Welcome to Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the power and the meaning of the most important story in business. The one that answers why somebody would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. We call this your capital S story. In each episode, we feature guests who have great insights on business storytelling, who can share their experiences to help you and your organization do a better job of sharing your capital S story to deliver remarkable business results. Today, we're honored to have John Geraci with us, the founder of Ci2 Advisors. He's a U.S. Army and public company veteran whose interesting career path has led him to focus on the narratives that drive success in business and how he and his firm can help improve those stories. So let me tell you a little bit about John. First of all, he's a West Pointer, which I think is pretty cool. He's a business leader who believes that success is dependent on strong personal connections and inspiring communications. In his own career, he's experienced several successes and failures that he feels prove the point. John sees that the world's changing dramatically, not only in terms of disruptive technologies, but also because we have multiple generations in the workforce. He spent 3 years of his own field research, and what he learned was that miscommunication, disconnections, and uninspiring messages sap productivity. This led John to realize that at the intersection of neuroscience and behavioral economics lie three breakthrough ideas that could dramatically improve business performance. This led John to form CIT Advisors, to build a system to make it easy to harness this power. Today, John and CI2 deliver success through what they call their dynamic relationship model and its storytelling and story listening components. John, welcome to Storylines Live.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was awesome.
Well, thank you. The former writer's disease. You try and do a little research and figure out nice things to say about people. That's the goal there. Is there anything that I missed in introducing you?
No, I think I guess the only thing I would say is we've trained hundreds of companies, including from largest to SAP to some small companies you wouldn't know, and thousands of individuals. So,
That's pretty amazing, and we're definitely going to dig into that. Now, we always start our interviews, John, by asking our guests about their own capital S story. So, for you, before we get into the meat of our interview in this episode, which of these four questions is most important to you in your firm right now? Why somebody would buy from you, why somebody would work with you, why somebody would partner with you, or why somebody would invest in you?
I think the most important question to us is why somebody would buy from us.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Share with our audience what causes you to suggest that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a really crowded market.
Mhm.
And I think we're all working hard to get our name out and promote ourselves and get people thinking about. And if you think about what we do, you can look at it in two ways. One, you can say, well, everybody does communication. We should all know that. And so it's what's the big deal? Or you can look at it and say, oh my God, the market is changing dramatically. And there's different people with completely different styles and thinking and values. And we need to upskill our communication skills.
Yep.
So a lot of what I think about is why would people buy with us? And secondary to that is how do we serve them? But when I think about the why, I don't know if you want to know more about that or just stop
Yes,
there. And then,
please share some.
well, when I think about the why, I think about who are our best customers. Generally, they're people oriented leaders. And
Mhm.
by that, I mean, there's a lot of companies going through transformations right now, technology transformation. Everybody's racing to use AI. And there's a lot of other transformations people are going through. And if you think about a transformation, people always they say that we think about people, process, and technology.
Yes.
And they spend about 90% of their dollars and time on process and technology. And if you look at failure rates of growth initiatives, of transformation initiatives, of IT project initiatives, of AI project initiatives, it always comes down to passive resistance to change and people aren't committed. So we believe that if you have a growth initiative, if you have a problem you're trying to solve, if you have a project you're trying to solve, you need to spend more time on the people side, the human skill side,
Hmm.
and the people side, and how both you communicate from a inspiring message standpoint or understanding them standpoint. But I think it's not intuitively obvious to everybody. They need to be led to that. They generally think, oh, it's the process. Oh, it's the technology. Oh, it's and they look back later on and say, oh my God, it was the people.
One of the things that I agree with you 100% on everything you just shared, and where you started, everybody communicates. Well, look, everybody breathes too, but some people have emphysema, and some people are like world class athletes, and they breathe so well that their heart rate is barely perceptible. And
Exactly.
you know, so what you're trying to do here is laudable for sure. It's one of those things that's ubiquitous, but we don't spend enough time on it, right? Okay, so I hinted in introducing you that you had an unusual career path. So you go to West Point, you become a career Army officer, you're trained to defend the nation, but today you're working with business professionals to share better stories. What was that journey like? How did you wind up where you are today?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, I came from a military family like you.
Hmm.
And my dad was he spent 2 years in Korea in World War II, 2 years in Korea, and 5 tours in Vietnam.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time around the military and observing him as a leader and what he did. And then when I went to West Point, I think one of the secret sauces of the military academies are the first 2 years, they teach you how to be a follower.
Mm,
And when you learn how to become a follower, you can learn how to be a good listener because you realize what it takes to follow and what happens when you have ineffective leaders leading you and good leaders leading you.
yeah.
And I went into the military and I was post Vietnam. It was class of 1974. We were post Vietnam. It was not a time of great thrust forward in the military.
Right.
And I kind of got pigeonholed. My first assignment was in an airborne unit down in Panama. My second assignment was in a training company, and I got hedged into this training world.
Mm.
And what I wanted to do was go play cowboys and Indians and be out with soldiers, and I was pegged with training. So I left the army and I moved into the software industry. It was
Mhm.
pretty nascent at that time.
Sure.
And at one point, our company was $250 million. Company I was with, Management Science America, and we were the largest software company in the world.
Wow.
Today, Oracle is 40 billion.
Yeah.
Microsoft is. We were bigger than Microsoft. But what attracted me to it was smart,
Mm.
committed people who really wanted to serve customers. And so it was a little bit of the thrill of the hunt in the military, which was in a fast growing technology oriented uh, companies. And so I basically had 4 or 5 companies I worked with
Mhm.
and some turnarounds, some successes. And what I observed was besides the leadership, at the core, a lot of excellent leadership. I mean, obviously you have to have a good strategy. If you don't have a good strategy,
Yes.
okay, I get that. If you're selling, you know, but when you have a good strategy, companies that are really succeeding, they have leaders that understand their customers and their peoples deeply,
Mhm.
and they're inspiring them, not telling them what to do.
Mm.
And that was the inspiration that kind of got me. It's a tenet of what I believe about leadership, inspiring people versus telling them what to do. And then when I got looking at the world of work changing, as you said earlier, the idea around CI2 came from the integration of neuroscience. How does the brain think? And behavioral economics, how do people make decisions? And with the advent of the fMRI, we've learned new things about our own brain, the most powerful tool we have,
Yeah.
that we didn't know 15 years ago. And it was through that it took me to say, well, if I'm going to leave the corporate world, what if I could, if we invented our dynamic communications model and added storytelling and transformational listening to it. If we could help people learn how to do that better, wouldn't it be a more inspiring, kinder, gentler, successful world? So that's kind of the trajectory that took me there from, early leadership to now helping people wanting to help them succeed.
Yeah, that's a great trajectory, and I have some of that research in my book that done by Dr. Yuri Hassan at Princeton, tracing how the storyteller's brain activity and the story listener's brain activity can wind up being in sync. I often say it's like a couple of people dancing. Movies almost nearly 100 years ago now, the Astaire and Rogers scenario where everything's in sync and great stories. You go to a play or a concert or a film, you say, gee, I wish it never would have ended. That's the feeling of great storytelling. And because so much of what you do is about your specific take on storytelling, I want to really dig into that when we come back from the break. So, folks, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be right back to talk about John's very interesting work and storytelling. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, we're back with John Geraci, who is the founder of Ci2 Advisors, talking storytelling, of course, but John and his team have some very specific takes on storytelling. And I really want to dig into this because it has such broad application. In fact, John, at your firm, you focus on helping leaders share what you consider to be the five most important stories. And perhaps that you could start by sharing with our audience what, what might be the most important, which is the transformation story. Could you please share with the audience what that is and why it's so important?
Sure, sure. I want to start with a little higher
Yes, please.
thought process, which a lot of companies that teach storytelling, and it's interesting because we're downstream of you,
Yeah.
but of what you do, the big S story. But a lot of companies who teach storytelling assume that people can apply it in business. And it's a little bit intuitive. All of us are good storytellers. From if you ask you a story about your mother, your father, your favorite aunt, or your
Yeah.
drunk uncle, or whatever. Applying stories in a business context has some nuances to it. And so what we've done is developed a framework for
Mhm.
storytelling based on Joseph Campbell's The Hero Journey. And we've simplified it so almost any man can learn how to tell, or woman can learn how to tell a better story. All
Mhm.
right. And we've categorized 5 or 6 types of stories by persona, because what's different is if I'm a leader, I'm interacting with certain people. If I'm a sales rep, interacting with different people. If I'm a customer service rep, interacting. So if you think about who are they interacting with, what are those critical conversations, and when in that workflow or life cycle do they need to understand people or listen for a story or tell a story? Because it's, as you know, storytelling is when you get good at it, it's conversational.
Yes.
When do you listen for a story but the why change story is one of the key leadership stories. And the reason we think it's so important is because we've seen project after project after project where executives come to an idea. I'm working with a company right now. The executives spent a year deciding to make a transformation initiative.
Wow.
And what the CEO did, and I won't mention the company, came out and said, okay, now we want these 15 people to be the core project managers making this work. He said, here's what the change is.
Okay.
And
That,
there was no dialogue. There were no benefits in the story. There was no what's in it for me in the story. There was no, if you did this, this is how you'll succeed in the story. And the art of crafting a good story, as you know, is all about having the right facts and feelings in it,
Mhm.
but then also relating it to whoever you're telling it to. And what this CEO, and I haven't met him yet, I will meet him eventually, and I've seen this movie over and over and over. He told the story that he needed to tell to his board to get the board to fund the change. In the story, we now need to cascade that story. How does that story affect the project managers, the project people, the users, the people? And so the why change story is so important and you look at all the AI transformations going on right now. There are they say that 70% of them fail. And part of it is they don't know what they're going to do, but the other part is alignment and buy-in. And I
Yes.
think, when you've got to give the space for the people to, so crafting that why change story and then morphing it in a way, how do I tell it to this audience in a way that is going to inspire them and then give them the space to debate, discuss, say why not, or why not, versus, oh, go do this. It just doesn't happen. That's the from a leadership standpoint, it's one of the most important stories. It dovetails down to the big S, right? Now you go into
Yes.
what initiative am I changing? So
Absolutely. And John, the focus of your firm on this story is so critical in a world that's seemingly changing every day. One of the things that really interested me about your work was, as you just mentioned, is the firm's use of AI. Could you share with our audience how your firm uses AI?
yeah, it's a great question. And boy, it's an amazing as you know, an amazing technology, and it's moving so fast. We launched an AI tool about a year ago, which we call an AI story builder. And we used it predominantly. We're in a way a training and a coaching company, and most of what we deliver is has been historically through training.
Yes.
And we thought in AI, and one of the problems in training or implementation of anything, as you know, is people don't follow up and they don't practice.
That's so
So
true.
we initially built the AI story builder as a place afterwards for people to practice.
Hmm.
And now, as the technology has shifted, we're now in the throes. We're going to launch it at the end of October, a new agentic version that I believe will actually take the place of the training.
Wow.
And what we're doing with the AI tool is helping people understand what are those critical conversations in their workflow by persona. So sales, service, product management, leadership, downstream from the top level C-suite that you work with. And then how do you drive that functionally? And what are those critical conversations? And when do you need to use story listening and storytelling? And how does the what the AI engine will do was help you pre-meeting, plan and prepare and execute and practice. And so what we're shifting from is a what I would call a training company where it's, it used to be 2.5 days. Now it's down to two 6-hour sessions to on-demand videos and then executing it into your workflow where now you can use this pragmatically to make sure you get business results.
Wow.
And one of the really cool things with AI is you can then go measure the use of the application, and you can put some value to it. So I have one big customer, a company called Questec Innovations, and they one of their key customers is SpaceX,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
they didn't know how to tell the SpaceX story. And so we help them craft and practice the SpaceX story. And they've won 7 other large aerospace companies based on telling the SpaceX story. And so now they can value what's the use of that. And you said earlier that, they used to tell them facts and figures about customers. And now they tell customer hero stories.
yes.
Right. And so the AI, we hope what'll happen is our whole firm will change where we'll be about helping them implement this AI into their workflow.
Mm.
And then individual coaching sessions where they may say, I have this meeting coming up and I need to prepare this. Can you coach me? So it'll
Yes.
change the whole trajectory. But the technology is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's one of my hot buttons, John, is that so many people in business think that storytelling is just simply a gift and you either have it and you don't. And years ago, I was cheering with folks today. I had the opportunity to work on a presidential campaign, and it was a year when Jesse Jackson was one of the candidates. I didn't work for him, but he showed up at a candidate forum late, and his staff was really nervous because he might miss his speaking spot. So he screeched in at the last moment, went up to his person and said, "What do I need to do?" And the guy said, "Tell him the book story, tell him the jail story, tell him the welfare story." And then Jesse Jackson got up and for half an hour gave this amazing speech that I am confident many people in the audience thought had been written down. and prepared. And to your point, in a way, it had. It had been practiced, it had been honed, it had been developed. And i- Jesse Jackson, in addition to being skilled and developing skills in storytelling, maybe he was gifted as well. I don't know, but I think your point about the training and the ability to hone your skills in storytelling is critical. And a lot of times, until now, why people haven't done it, John, is because it's just inconvenient, right? You need to have an in-person trainer, and that's a big reason why, as you pointed out, people won't follow up, right? If there's not somebody there to hold them accountable. I just
Right.
love this concept of using AI, and I really appreciate the success story you shared with your client who's been able to take their work with SpaceX and turn that around in a story and help them win additional business. That is just awesome. You know,
Well, and one, if I can add a
sure,
comment
please.
about that. So part of the use of technology, one of the big values we provide to companies is we house a library of stories.
I love that.
So now, I mean, just like your example you gave, Jesse Jackson's assistant was the library. But we don't always have companies have a lot of institutional knowledge and information, but how do they share that when you're a big company? And so we have a library of stories
Mhm.
that people can search and look for. They can edit, but then they can also go practice. And one of the really cool things with AI in our practice session, you can say, "Hey, not only hey, tell them the story, you could say, "Hey, Paul, tell me how you would tell the story to John." And the AI will model it for you and tell it. And so you can really, and then the other thing then you can do is you can say, well, okay, now I want to record it. I'm going to tell this story to Paul, and it'll help you get better at it. So it's really a phenomenal real time
It-
capability that can help because we say uh, a lot of people come to us and say, "Do I need to be a great storyteller?" And we say, we're kind of storytelling for the common man.
yes,
We want to help everybody, number one, understand people deeper. We call transformational story listening, you
right.
know, and then we want you to be able to tell an inspiring story versus telling them what to do. And no, you don't have to be the greatest platform speaker in the world. If you could just apply this simply in your own workspace more productively, you're going to get so much better results. You're going to see a quantum leap in results, right? But you don't have to be, you know, uh, Jesse Jackson or
No,
a
you don't.
natural storyteller.
Or Barack Obama or somebody who's well known for being a speaker. John, it's clear that you're very passionate about your work. I always like to ask guests on the podcast, what brings you the most satisfaction in your work?
Well, it's a great question. It's something that has kind of followed me through my whole
Hmm.
career. Do you know the starfish story?
I believe it'd be great for you to retell it for our audience.
Well, it's about an old guy on the beach, and there's thousands of starfish on the beach, and there's a group of teenagers in a house, and they see him with his pipe throwing starfish, stone, and they see him the first day, they see him the second day. Finally, the third day, one of the teenagers comes out and says, "Sir, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm cleaning up this beach and saving these starfish." And the guy says to him, "You're never going to save all these starfish." And the old man picks up one of the starfish, he throws it out. He says, "Well, I made a difference for that one."
Mhm.
And what really has motivated me for a long time, even in my corporate career, and I did fairly well. I was the president of two public companies. But what I really loved was seeing individuals grow and reach their full potential. And that's carried through. What I love about this, the after our training and workshops, we do the key takeaway. The secret sauce of what we do is really story listening and
Mhm.
helping people listen more. We call it deep listening. And
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people say, "Oh my God, I've tried this and it's really changed the game." And when somebody tells me that, it's not about the money we're making. I do want the company to succeed. We actually,
Sure.
for companies, we offer a money back guarantee.
I love
And
that.
so, but what turns me on is there's some person who can get incremental or exponentially better
Yes.
because of learning and practicing this skill. And it's kind of been that's been throughout my career of what's really, that's what I love to do is mentor and help people grow.
Wow, John, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And it's clear that that is a big part of the passion that I've seen and heard from you in our interview today. Before we close out, John, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
They can go to www.ci2advisors.com, or if they want to email me, they can go to jgeraci, Geraci, at ci2advisors.com. And if anybody who listens to this, if they would like a free pass
Yeah.
to one of our open workshops, it's a $500 value. If they email me, I will give them a free pass to test out and see what we do is important or relevant to them. But I'd love to chat with anybody, and Paul, particularly your customers who you get the big S story. Now,
Absolutely.
our comment is how to cascade and drive that into the organization for specific results. So there's a real synergy between your customers and ours.
I 100% agree, John, and we'll definitely be having further conversations. For those listening or watching, please know that we will include all the links that John shared in the show notes and the offer that he shared, which thank you, John. That's deeply appreciated, getting your thinking and your process in front of those who are storylines listeners. We appreciate that. John,
Thank
thank
you,
you
Paul.
again. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for
Thank you very much.
our guest. And I want to say thank you to all of our audience for your participation in yet another episode of Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the power and the meaning of the most important story in business, the one that answers why somebody would buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. We'll see you next time.